Recently, I had the amazing experience of going to Malawi. My brother and I love traveling together. So first we went to Zambia for a few days to check out Victoria Falls.
Otunya.
Most Otunya means
Otunya.
Most
The
Otunya.
smoke that thunder.
Oh, the smoke that thunders.
Yes.
Ah, okay, so that's the name for Victoria Falls.
Yes.
I see.
Then the owner here where we are, it's called Shungu Namutitibu.
And then we took a 13-hour bus ride from Lusaka in Zambia to Lilongwe in Malawi. I would not recommend taking that long of a bus ride.
Hey guys, we're having a good time. Everything is so clean.
But it was so worth it to get to Malawi. We arrived at Cape Clear. I can't see. Whee!
Oh, it's quite far.
Yeah. Yes.
Wow.
Lake Malawi was wonderful. We were at Mumbo Island. We just arrived here earlier this morning from a 45-minute boat. So this is a small island in the south of Lake Malawi. Lake Malawi is huge. If I'm not mistaken, it is the 4th biggest lake in Africa. And it will take a catamaran, a regular small boat, about 5 days to go from Cape Maclear in this area to the top of the lake. And we got a little bit, quite a lot lost when we tried to hike our way back from the edge of the island to the other part through the forest.
We have gotten so lost. We found a skibbity toilet and we're back in civilization. Our water is finished. We've been relying on tree sap, ants, and lizards.
We did get very, very lost, and then we found the path again, but I was about to cry.
And it's too cold to swim and too hot to live.
True. But that's what makes for good memories. So instead of having a super long travel vlog, I'll give you a few snippets here and there, but then I'll dive into the main part of this video, which is how I picked up a little bit of Chichewa in context while being in Malawi. Honestly, was not expecting this type of beauty, and I'm quite happy to have my own place because I've been stuck with my brother for, bless his heart, for about 6 days now. You know, I love traveling with family, but it is very good to have some peace and quiet to myself. This really feels like the cherry on the cake. We had a very, very rough day 2 days ago on a 13-hour bus coming from Lusaka, Zambia to Lilongwe, Malawi, and we almost thought we were getting kidnapped when a tuk-tuk driver totally started going on the outskirts of the city, way in the opposite direction from where our GPS pin was dropped to our Airbnb. Here we are, all's well that ends well, and going on a sunset cruise now. It's just gonna be so beautiful. I'm so happy to be here, and I cannot believe this is like in my backyard, like 2-3 countries up from South Africa. It's wonderful. And one of my favorite things, apart from swimming in a lake that looks like the ocean, was actually to start picking up Chichewa. Chichewa is a beautiful language, and if you know some basic phrases, you will be able to communicate with locals a bit more well. Most people in Malawi speak English really well. We had no problem getting around, but of course, as someone who loves languages, I took this opportunity to pick up a little bit of Chichewa in the 5 or 6 days that I was there. Most of the Chichewa I picked up was from asking people around us. So we hired a driver to take us around to the destinations we wanted to go to. And while we were driving in the car, I would ask the driver how to say a few things.
I don't know anything. Up to now,
Yeah, so what he's saying I think I did mean that yes.
I made a note on my phone where I wrote down all the phrases and words that I learned. It's really not a lot, but I think for like 4 or 5 days, it was pretty decent, and I tried to use these as much as possible. Over the years, I've realized I'm much more of an auditory learner than I thought. I have this constant noise in my head from the language that I'm currently focusing on at a specific time. So being in Malawi, I just heard Chichewa all the time, and it was just like these words and phrases were on repeat in my brain. When my driver would talk on his phone, which was quite often, I would hear him repeat a few words over. And when we had the radio on, I would also focus on words that I heard very often during a radio broadcast. And I also took a lot of notice of street signs and advertisements all around me. So any advertisement, I think there was one, I can't remember the word now because I'm making this video months later, but there was a word, something like, you know, go Malawi, or we're cheering on Malawi, you can do this, you know, that kind of encouraging word. And it was on a few advertisements. And I recognized, like, okay, I'm seeing this quite a lot. Let me ask my driver. And then I took a note of that word and I was able to at least remember it for the time that I was there. Cassava?
You want some?
Mmm!
No, again, let it.
Okay.
Wow, the cassava is nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Granules, are they like peanuts?
Yeah, they're like peanuts, but even those ones are the ones which are dry, they just fry them without cooking oil.
This is delicious.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very good, very good. From Lilongwe, Malawi. It's my last day and I thought I would share with you how I'm acquiring Chichewa. Really purely by listening, asking people and trying to use as much as I can. A few days ago I was in Zambia and I was learning Lozi and Bemba.
So hello is Mulibuti.
Yes.
And I'm fine, thank you is
Gabot.
Gabotu.
Mulibuti.
Mulibuti.
Yeah.
And how do you say thank you?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
How do you say thank you?
Yeah, like, oh, thank you for this.
Twalumba.
Twalumba.
Yeah, that's thank you. Oh, Twalumba.
Or Twalumba, or just Twalumba.
If I say Twalumba, that means I'm answering for so many people.
Ah.
But as in I for myself, like I want to answer for myself.
Yes.
I say Ndalumba.
Ndalumba.
Ndalumba. That's me alone.
Ndalumba.
Yeah.
And then I had to make the big mind switch from everything I had learned in Bemba and Lozi and switch it over to Chichewa, or basically start learning a new language right after spending a few days trying to learn 2 other ones. Let me tell you the process I followed, basically starting from scratch to learn Chichewa. So the bus driver and the taxi driver that my brother and I had on our trip, I asked them the basic phrases. You start with that. So Mulibanji is hello and Zikomo is thank you. What I did from there, of course, I wrote them down. You can't see that, but I'll put in a screenshot. I wrote them down in a note on my phone so that I could access them readily. But every single opportunity that I could, I tried to use it. Now you might be thinking, oh, it's not so hard just to learn 1 or 2 words like hello or thank you. But if you've been doing 3 other languages the previous week, it's easy to mix them up, even especially since they are similar at some parts. Like the word for water is very similar across a lot of languages from this region. But literally every single person that I could greet, I would say Mulibanji to, and every situation where I could say thank you, I would say Zikomo. Just so that by repeating it over and over and over for a day, it now is solidified in my memory. So instead of taking a dictionary or a textbook to sit and study before coming here, I decided I'm going to learn as I am right here with the people and trying to speak from zero, basically. So my method is to start with the very basics that I have and build up from there. And how I'm learning is basically by listening to things on the radio, listening to people speaking, and reading signs around me, and then asking people who I'm with. So I'm very grateful to have been surrounded by locals for most of my trip. My Airbnb hosts are all local, and majority of people here in Lilongwe speak Chichewa. Another thing that I'm doing is making associations with other words that I know. For example, in Bemba, vinkubala is mpani worms. So it's a type of dish, it's basically fried worm. And my brother and I, well, he was eating vinkubala and we were just talking about it a lot. So I know the word vinkubala from Bemba, it's stuck in my head. But when we came to Malawi, we have to learn the Chichewa word for vinkubala, which is mpawabungu. Now, I don't necessarily need to use the word mpawabungu because I don't eat worms, but I know it now because I've made that association with vinkubala. So I'm connecting the 2 languages that are in a similar context, right? I've gone from one country of Zambia to the country of Malawi. I've been in that situation of, well, my brother ordering the worms. It's front of mind. I'm not going back to English and thinking, or South African English, mopani worms, okay, vinkubala, okay, mpalabungu. I try and associate it to the context and the last example of the word I've learned similarly. Another word I want to talk about is kumbali. I see it a lot, and my driver told me that it means something, it's like vernacular for outside town, like the outskirts. But he took us to Kumbali Lodge, which is a very beautiful, upscale looking lodge where we had a drink. We definitely cannot afford to stay there. We've been staying very locally. My mind was able to make that association. Okay, we're driving out of town. It's kind of a bit more in a rural area, and then there was the fancy lodge there. But now I know, okay, that's what Kumbali means. And the other good thing is that I was able to make that association even stronger because I try and keep my eyes open as much as I can for any signs, advertising, packaging, everything I can see. And the word Kumbali appeared quite a lot of times, maybe in some stores with some local crafts, on ads, etc. Our last day in Malawi, we stopped for some chocolate cake. Thank you. If you are ever in Lilongwe, may I recommend Lark Cafe. It's very calm, peaceful, beautiful gardens, and good cake. Mulibanji and Zikomo.
Yeah.
So, what time did we initially say we have to be at the airport?
Yeah. I have the number for that guy.
Then something that's really confusing for me is no is ai and yes is ie. So if you speak Japanese, you'll know that ie is no and ie is house. Whereas here in Chichewa, ie means yes. So this is something that I've had to refer back to on my note a few times, but the more I use it, the more I get used to it. Just the matter of listening as much as I can. Our driver had his radio on in Chichewa, and I kept hearing Kwambili, something Kwambili. There was a political debate, people were always saying blah 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 Kwambili. And I asked my driver, what is Kwambili? I keep hearing it. He says, oh, it means very or too much. And now I know, okay, I've heard it 25 times today, Kwambili, and now I know what it means. So without needing to use a textbook, use a dictionary, it's just that one word that's been repeated. And this is basically how I start learning a language. From zero, from the basic words, not necessarily knowing full sentences, but being able to get the context of some sentences by the single simple words that I do know. The word for yummy is cocoa, and cocoa we keep seeing on advertisements, and it's also a brand of cooking oil. So I saw it on an ad somewhere. I asked what is cocoa, and he said it means tasty. And then when I checked into my Airbnb, there was some oil on a shelf and it said cocoa, and I was like, okay, I've made that association now. So it's all about being curious, keeping your eyes open, and seeing what words you can make mental associations to. Then of course, while driving back from Cape Maclear at Lake Malawi to Lilongwe, our car tire got a flat and we didn't have a spare tire. So we were stuck on the road for an hour and a half while our driver went on someone else's motorbike into a village to try and fix the tire. But during that time, of course, we got very hungry. When he came back, I asked him, how do you say I'm hungry? So he started by teaching me hunger. That is njala. And then to say I am hungry is Lindie njala. And the way I remember it is my name is Lindie or Lindie, and it's Lindie njala. Because I learned njala, which is hunger first, and then Lindie njala, I'm hungry. So that's just to give you a bit of an idea of how my brain works and tries to learn these basic phrases from zero. Really, there's not much to it. I'm not using any formal resources or books. It's really just a matter of looking, listening, asking, using it as much as you can, taking notes, and really repeating it in your head over and over. Every time I drive, I read something, I try and pronounce it. I hear it on the radio, I say it in my head, I say it out loud. Like I might even annoy my brother or the driver because I'm like, Lindie njala, say it a few times, and now whenever I'm at like a restaurant, I can be like, Lindie njala, I'm hungry. And yeah, I didn't come with any plans to start studying Chichewa. I didn't even know a lot about the many languages of Malawi or even neighboring Zambia where we were. I just grabbed the opportunity that I could while being here because I found that that is the easiest place to pick something up from scratch. And if I were to stay here longer, I know that I would be able to learn a lot more just by talking to the people because they are so friendly. Hope this has been helpful. Just wanted to give you an idea of how my brain works. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video. Bye!